Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, we're doing our movie episode of Games My Mom Found, a spooky movie. I am Mike Albertin, and who's reading a book with me tonight?
Hey everybody, it's Kenneth Sanity, and sorry about the balls.
I'm Bill Tucker from A Gamer Looks at 40, and I too read Sutter Kane.
I'm the Let's Play Princess Phoebe Stanton, and my favorite color is pink.
And I am Richard Sampson from the YouTube channel Rich Kale and various fan fiction sites where I have stuff posted, and I can't say anything else. The good bits have been taken. He then looks down at the stuff and wonders if anybody realizes the true nature of things.
Hey, I can say my favorite color is blue, too. I was thinking that when I watched this movie. Did not catch things that you guys mentioned, but I was thinking that. And Ken, what are we talking about tonight?
Oh, I've been waiting for a while to talk about this one. Today we are talking about 1995's John Carpenter classic, In the Mouth of Madness, as directed, of course, by John Carpenter, written by Michael DeLuca, and starring a slew of people who made this movie something special.
Indeed.
I never realized that this wasn't written by John Carpenter, that this was written by a person who's only written or wrote 4 movies in their entire life.
Yep, but that didn't stop Michael DeLuca from being one of the head people at New Line Cinema.
Which is really weird.
He actually wrote this movie back in the 80s, so long before.
That makes sense, because the first movie he wrote was an actual, accurate adaptation to The Lawnmower Man. And I watched it directly after this movie, and I went, this is garbage. I love this.
There's a reason that we didn't get an accurate version of The Lawnmower Man.
Yeah,
that movie is
probably.
Well, so I would like to kind of start off with like memories. I have never seen this movie. I didn't even know this movie existed until Ken had mentioned it. And even then, I had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. Just knew that Ken liked it. So I was like, okay, and Sam Neill's in it. I'm like, all right. And I left it at that. And that's all my history with it. And Bill, what about you?
I had never seen this before. This is a brand new viewing for me. I knew it was Lovecraft-esque. It had a lot of ties to the author, and to. I always assumed this was like at the Mountain of Madness. Like I got very confused between the Lovecraft story and this. They're not the same thing at all. They're totally different things. So I was very confused. I'm like, why is this an insurance salesman? And then like in the mouth of, okay, it's a totally different. It's a different thing. I don't know what I was expecting. However, so I've never seen this before. I like Sam Neill a lot. I like him a lot more now after seeing this. He is exceptionally good in this. This is a lot of fun. I enjoyed myself. I don't think this is top tier Carpenter. A lot of people will say that 90s era John Carpenter is not the greatest era of his filmmaking career, but this is an outlier. This is a good time. But I had never even. I like Lovecraft's work, but I've never seen this take on it.
And Phoebe.
I probably saw this around the time that I was really getting into Lovecraft. So that'd be around 2007. It's definitely high school. And it quickly became one of my favorite pieces of Carpenter media.
All right. And Ken.
Oh, gosh. Probably saw this late junior high school. So, like, after it had hit the theater, but first came out to video. I was always a huge Carpenter fan. I love The Thing. I was a little too young to fully get Prince of Darkness when it came out. But when I eventually did see it and loved it, as soon as I saw this movie was coming out on video, I had to jump on it. And it has been a favorite ever since.
And Richard.
Well, see, I first saw something about this back around the time when it was being made or coming out, because my folks would watch Entertainment Tonight, and they had a bit on it regarding this, especially regarding the one thing that we will talk about later in the movie and how much work went into that. But I didn't see it until it aired on Sci-Fi one year, and I TiVo'd it and watched it. I sort of got captivated by it, especially as when I finally saw the full thing, how beautifully it was done. And the story is so, it just draws you in. And it spoke to the writer in me.
Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. This is a very smartly written movie. I don't think it's perfect. I think there's a lot of places where it falls short for me. But as a good old fashioned Stephen King style startler, I had a lot of fun. And this is all elevated by Sam Neill, who we mentioned earlier. Did anyone else? I'm sorry. I think I cut off other people's first times through.
No,
Is anybody? There's a lot of people here. I'm sorry.
No, we got everybody.
Yeah, I think the obviously John Carpenter's hands are all over this. It's got goopy creatures. It's got some really good scares. It's got some really good startles as well. Some great effects. But this is really a Sam Neill joint. He is so good in this. And I don't think I've seen a lot of Sam Neill other than the Jurassic Park and maybe a couple other things. This makes me want to explore his stuff more. It does. He's really great in this.
You should watch the Merlin miniseries.
I've never seen it.
It's so good. I know what you're talking about, but never seen it either.
At this point, we really should be referring to Sam Neill as horror royalty. His work in the 70s horror film Possession, absolutely amazing.
Never seen it.
His work on The Omen 3, in which he played Damien.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
When he's the president or whatever.
That's a good movie.
You got this. You got Event Horizon. Sam Neill is horror royalty, and I will not hear a word against it.
Event Horizon's such a good movie too.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic.
I need to watch that one again.
That's really good. I like it.
Oh, he was in a movie that you guys have talked about before too, Mike and Bill.
What?
Thor Ragnarok.
Oh yeah, he's in for one scene.
Oh, that's right.
One brief cameo.
He is in that dumb movie. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I had to throw that one out there.
No, it's like, Sam Neill's one of those actors where for me, he's always kind of lived in the periphery again as like a reliable actor. But again, after this performance, it's one of those where I'm like, ooh, I think I might want to actually seek out more Sam Neill joints. Yeah, it's he is great in this, and we'll probably highlight those good moments as we go through it. But yeah, this is definitely a lot of him, and he's great.
Yeah, this one he carries. He has to carry it.
Oh yeah,
the movie basically lives or dies by the success of his performance.
Yeah,
and
he nailed it.
And the fact that he nailed it with using his normal New Zealand accent is just, all right, yeah, you're a Kiwi in New York. Why not? Fuck it. Let's go.
This was the moment that Phoebe found out Sam Neill is from New Zealand. Holy crap.
That's why he doesn't I will never meet him, unfortunately, because he doesn't go to conventions or do anything, because I pay to meet him. So, but he doesn't go to anything.
Go visit his farm in New Zealand.
I do want to visit New Zealand someday, but
out of just this is a very, very quick aside early on in the episode, just so people who don't know this show by now, they just understand that this happens, and if this is not for you, by all means leave, because this is just what's going to happen as we do this. Did you know that Event Horizon has a 35% on Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah,
What?
You know what?
How?
because it's fucked up.
I said this movie has a 59%.
That's not right. That's not correct.
Not a genre that the critics, in all the quotes possible, get.
Well, did you see the audience score for this movie?
Oh yeah, high 73.
Yeah, that's closer to right. That's I'd put this at like an 8. I think I'd get like 7.5, 8. Yeah.
I get that. I think you have to be the right kind of person to be interested in this movie. For me, I wanted to be an author. So when I have stuff that talks about an author going crazy, like I'm right into that, but I can get it how something like this could be hard for some people, and the fact that it's so trying to like be very close to gods and demons and stuff like that in the end of the world, and some people can't handle that in a movie.
Well, like all of John Carpenter's movies, I mean, pretty much all of them, The Thing, this, Prince of Darkness, a lot of his movies, not just the Apocalypse trilogy, have been overgoing a critical reassessment.
Yeah, that's fair.
And this is one of those ones that now everybody's like, oh yeah, this movie's great. And to hear John Carpenter talk about it, he was like, man, everybody hated this movie.
It didn't make its money back. It was a commercial failure.
Yeah.
Did not do very well at the box office.
Nope.
Yeah. 94 was not ready for this, I don't think. I don't know.
Nope.
And it's such a fertile year.
Yeah, a lot of people are not ready for the deepness of this. And I think some of the target audience was not mentally mature enough to appreciate what it was.
Which is absolutely fair. This is not a movie that wears its heart on the sleeve. You got to dig a little deep to get this one.
Unless you're unless you're at the back of somebody, then it might be easier to reach it. But
And Ken, what is the plot of this movie?
All right, here we go. Sutter Kane is the biggest author in the world. He has the cosmic horror know-how of H.P. Lovecraft and the global popularity of Stephen King, except better. He's also disappeared on the eve of his newest bestseller being published, and his publisher will do anything to get the author or his book back. Insurance investigator John Trent and Kane's editor Linda Stiles journey to the ends of New England and reality itself in order to find the book, which has the power to corrupt everything in which Trent believes, including himself.
Bum, bum,
I always love
bum.
that.
that is very, very concise.
Excellent.
I really wanted to watch this movie a second time because I feel like there's so much stuff that I didn't catch on my first watching. I watched it this morning. I was running out of time.
Man.
But it felt like, because I was surprised the way this movie starts off is you have Sam Neill being a patient brought into an asylum and pretty much just being thrown into a cell pretty quickly after he kicks the guy in the balls.
And you know what? That's actually one of the first signs that Sam is, in fact, completely sane. I mean, how many people being taken into an asylum like that is going to apologize for kicking somebody in the crotch and even admitting it was a lucky shot?
And when you see him walk off, the orderly, he does walk with a limp, kind of. Like, I thought that was cool that they made sure to stick with it.
He didn't trot off the field. He was definitely feeling some sickness in his tummy. He was not feeling good.
And the way the orderly was holding, like, just above his waist, that man had been kicked in the balls before. He knew what it was supposed to feel like.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's where that pain lives. It's right there, just above the waistline.
I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, you're working with people, like, when you're working with people like this, like, you are going to get hurt, unfortunately. So.
Yeah, but how many of those, quote, people being taken in are going to actually apologize for that?
Probably not.
True.
But
True. Yeah, that's a good point.
It fits what John Carpenter is going for, because Sam Neill's character, John, is not really insane. He just ended up being I don't even know what word to use here.
See, here's the thing. He's not insane, but he's not really sane either.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that happens to a lot of heroes in cosmic horror, especially Lovecraft.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, we see what he does to end up there toward the end of the movie, and those aren't the actions of a sane man.
No,
but after everything he goes through, he becomes the mouthpiece, essentially, for this insanity.
He is a sane man in a world going insane.
Which is one of my favorite subgenres. Love it.
Yeah, it makes a brilliant. When you would think he's insane. The way he talks, he's not insane.
I think he just went through. I mean, he essentially is just going through hell. This is terrible. Seeing the things that he sees throughout this movie. I mean, you see the effect of what it has to him. And
yes,
it all makes sense. I mean, I love how this whole movie pretty much is him telling a story to somebody else, and it fits that classic narrative but except in this, I feel you can trust the narrator. I feel like the narrator isn't lying to you like in some other stories that we have done recently. What do you think, Dan?
It's so good that the way that they do it is the world is already going to hell when he's getting interviewed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because he even mentions, like, it's getting pretty bad out there, isn't it? And of course, the psychiatrist is he's just not responding. He's just trying to get the facts of the situation. It's a really good dropping you into the middle of something, right? Like, Sam Neill clearly looks the part of a crazy person, but clearly he has some sort of wits about him, And I mean, drawing crosses on yourself constantly doesn't really help your cause too much, I guess. But
Oh, but it did. That's how you know he's sane, because he's trying to stay in there and he's doing the things that make it more likely to keep him there.
Oh, that's right. He did make a mention of that. It's like, he's like, I'd rather stay in here after I redecorated and everything. Come on now.
Yeah,
And
it's also a point of it's starting to show you signs that things are not fully right. I mean, when Dr. Wren is brought in and we don't know what organization he works for because I guess
never
it's the
say.
character. Yeah, I think the character is the name that says it is Saperstein,
Yep.
and he says it must be bad if they're calling you in, your organization in. And when asked, did he ask for anything? Yes, one black crayon.
I know. I thought the same thing.
Well, that was one really large black crayon they handed him there.
It
Yeah.
is a good example of a writer not necessarily knowing how much you're going to get from a crayon.
Yeah, unless it's one of those like giant novelty crayons, like you'd get in like a gift shop someplace, like this size of 2 Pepsi cans.
Listen, the Doctor is played by the same person. The Doctor is the Riddler from the animated DC universe.
Yeah, we really.
So there's a likelihood that the Doctor got it from Gotham, and they have novelty shit everywhere.
Very good point.
Yeah, good old John Glover. We can't really miss talking about him.
No.
He's not in this movie very much.
He's not, but what he's there for is just, oh, thanks, buddy.
There's a lot of people that you don't realize are in this, or you'll think, is that person? Oh my god, it is. Like, I never realized that Simon was Vigo until this viewing.
Yup.
Well, I mean, Simon, are you talking about?
You're talking about the guy who goes to the church with the shotgun and is asking for his 5-year-old kid back. And I'm like, that's Vigo the Carpathian.
It is Vigo the Carpathian.
Okay, I thought that was another one of Jurgen's roles. But,
Oh no, Jurgen was Sutter Kane.
Yeah, I know him from the Dune movie in the 80s. But of course, David Dune, Dune.
Yeah, David Lynch's Dune.
Yeah, he played Leto Atreides. But yeah, I didn't place John Glover, but I do know David Warner. I mean, he also did the voice of Ra's al Ghul in the Batman the Animated Series. He was also Sark and MCP and Tron and a lot of other things over the years until he passed away.
David Warner's just a good cut through the bullshit guy to have.
Oh yeah.
Like when you want an administrative guy, you want David Warren. He's good.
I do appreciate movies that are all just a story that are leading up to what you then see at the end. Like, well, the idea, they're all stories, but there's someone's telling you a story that then, you start off movie and then when you get to the end, you finally get to see like what's happened. I think that like I had forgotten midway through this movie that, oh yeah, it's a guy telling a story. I completely forgot all of that he was in an insane asylum because I got so absorbed into the film.
Yeah,
I completely forgot.
It is what they call in media res.
This movie is so beautifully edited.
Yes, it is.
Oh yes.
Even there was a point where I thought that feels wrong, and it's when they're in the little motel, and it suddenly just instantly cuts from him talking to Linda in the foyer type area to them automatically being in the bedroom, and he's continuing a different sentence, and that felt like the worst editing possible. But no, it doesn't, because what we're seeing is the movie adaptation of a book. It's a chapter beginning and ending.
Ah! I didn't catch. Okay, that is cool.
There's a lot of stuff that when you look back at what the story is in this movie, you can forgive why it may look out of place. It adds to the unsettling nature that this story is.
Yeah.
I think the fact that you have a guy whose job is to essentially debunk people who are trying to fraud insurance companies, I think that's perfect to have that guy going through this event of madness.
And such a brilliant idea to show first. Give us one of his earlier cases before he has to go on to this one.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's a perfect start because this is a person you don't expect to get tied up into something insane. And it's a perfect skeptic.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to say. He is a born skeptic. He's a practiced skeptic, and his job is to be skeptical and to seek out the scams and seek out the cons, and he's clearly very good at it. So it is the perfect person to be on this kind of journey into craziness. Yeah.
And you can also tell that it's also a product of its times, is how freely they're smoking.
Oh, constantly smoking. Constantly
Thank you
smoking.
for that.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking about you, Ken, when I was watching this film because he's smoking all the time in all these different buildings.
Yep. Yeah.
Back when we smoked in restaurants and everything.
Was he actually? Now, did he look like a smoker? Because did he pull it off?
I think he pulled it off.
Yeah,
I think so
he
too.
definitely pulled it off. He wasn't a chain smoker.
No, but I mean, just the mannerisms of the way he was inhaling and exhaling.
He wasn't
Because I
faking
know
it.
Ken has mentioned that he can tell right away if someone's not a smoker if they're smoking in the movie and they've never had a cigarette in their life. He can tell. I was curious if Sam Neill pulled it off.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Sam Neill actually absolutely pulled it off.
Yeah, I pay attention to that now too. I don't notice it, but I ask. But I just kept thinking about that because I'm like, they are just constantly smoking. Ken, did you have to go light up during this movie?
I was actually smoking while I was watching this movie one of the several times I did. So, it was just this morning I was watching it with my morning coffee and cigarettes. So,
Because there is so much of it. Like, I pay attention to it in movies, especially now. It's something that's very, like, you just don't see as much. Because, one, I mean, our culture's a little bit different. And two, just movies don't have that in there. So that's one thing I look for. Because, I mean, I grew up in the time when, I mean, I don't smoke personally, but I grew up in that time when everybody smoked in places. And then now you have it, as I like it the way it is, where people can't smoke anywhere. At least I'm happy to endorse. But, like, so it's interesting to look back at stuff from, I mean, this movie is almost 30 years old. So it's interesting to look back at that.
Yeah.
oh man, next year it is going to be 30 years old. Shit.
Time flies.
Or something.
I do appreciate that you do get to see him at work. You do get to see that early case where he shows that the guy's wrong. And then you have like the part when they're sitting at the diner is so good because you see a bus go by with the title. I'm like, oh, the title of the movie. But now that I know the movie's the title of the book that is about the movie. But not about the movie, but what the movie's based on, essentially. Yeah, whatever. You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
And already here we're starting to see little details, like everybody's eyes are blue. The opening credits are blue.
Yes.
Across the street from the diner, the posters on the theater wall have blue frames. It's so beautifully done.
It's subtle because this was the second time I watched it, but I didn't even notice those little. I mean, I didn't even think of the title being blue. I didn't notice
either.
the frames, but I started picking up like on the smaller details because you're forced to notice them.
Yeah, even to the point that when the police officers shoot the guy with the axe, nobody ever pays attention to the background extras that run away in the shot. You're watching the person fall and get shot. But everybody running away is in blue.
Oh,
Really? This is creepy.
That was a coincidence, though.
Oh.
Was it really? Was it a coincidence?
Those bystanders were people just watching the filming being shot.
That's brilliant.
Like they just happened to be there.
That's funny because it fits the narrative. It fits what the movie is, giving you these subtle clues, and we looked at it. But that's funny. It's just irony.
And you gotta love that delivery. I don't know if that was the guy's actual voice.
This movie's got a lot
said
of
it.
weird overdubbing.
I mean, he just looked at Trent and he said, "Do you read Sutter Kane?"
Well, because I didn't put two and two. I mean, you don't put two and two together until after you watch the movie, but he recognized him.
Yeah.
And those contacts.
The weird split eye contacts.
I love that. I remember
Fantastic.
Fangoria used to have those like around the time this movie came out. They always had ads for contacts you can get. And those ones were just called the Madness contacts.
That is awesome. Wonder if you can still find them on eBay or something.
Oh, I'm sure it's not hard. There's more people making contacts now than there were back then.
Yeah, so I'm sure you can find stuff. It's not on Etsy, maybe like somewhere. I'm assuming somebody's selling them.
Although I don't know if I 100% trust an Etsy contact. Like
I was thinking
this
the
is
same
going
thing as
into
I
my
opened my mouth.
eyeball. Like I don't know if I would trust somebody 3D printing a goofy contact lens in their garage and then sending it to me in a brown paper bag. I don't know.
I mean, I don't wear
Yeah.
anybody's contacts. I don't wear contacts, but yes.
Even these contacts messed up that actor's eye. Like his cornea got scratched by them.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah. So like you take your chance all the time. And those contacts were made by professionals.
Yeah, they
That's
would
too
have
bad,
to be
Adam.
made by professionals, especially if you want to get a design like that.
Yeah. So like can be to the effects for this. And great effects studio. Absolutely great effects studio. They've given us so much over the years. And the fact that they were able to work on this movie with Carpenter was just, it looks great. All the effects are great. They really did a great job.
Oh, yeah.
And I like how almost everything is practical effects except for a couple scenes I know are digital. But like practical effects just hold up so well nowadays. So I'm happy.
Yeah, that is
digital too
definitely
often.
something to praise it for because those I think majority were practical. I don't think.
The couple parts that aren't are like when he grabs his face at one point, Sutter Kane.
Oh
does
yeah, that has
that's-
to be digital.
Yeah.
There's only a couple things that are digital from when I was watching some videos on this before we talked.
And then that scene still holds up fine 30 years
It did.
later.
I mean, I've seen movies more recently with bad CGI, and I'm like, it's not an excuse in today's market, but
But
now
enough
it's
about
there.
the Marvel movies.
Hey,
Yeah, that is actually what I'm referring to. Some of them have bad CGI.
That's just
But also, a movie in the early 2000s, Blade 2, had bad CGI, and Blade 1, because he wouldn't open his eyes. Or wouldn't close, open his eyes. That's neither here nor there. I do like how very early on you see a news article talking about riots that are happening. And it's starting to feed you that there's something wrong in the world, but you don't know what.
Yeah. Like the news starts reporting on riots and people being upset that booksellers are out of pre-orders for Sutter Kane's new novel. All of the news footage, by the way, is all blue tinted.
Yep.
Really?
So,
See, I gotta pay more attention. I gotta watch it again.
Like even the car. The car is like a weird blue gray.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, this is just typical when you see how popular a writer gets. People are eager for the next book, and if it's coming out on a set date, you know that they're going to be lining up. I mean, look at how people were lining up for Potter books when they came out.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's probably the closest thing that we have between Potter and the Da Vinci Code.
Da Vinci
Like-
Code's right there. Yeah.
Those are probably the two literary event books that are the closest to the kind of stuff that we see here.
Do you think that the next George R. R. Martin book will be like that?
No, because everybody's
Do you
going to think
there
it
will
was
be another
fake.
George R. R. Martin book?
I mean, there never will be another book by him, so it's not possible.
I mean, let's face it, this is the riots and that. It falls in line with the book's been delayed, and that's part of the whole, quote, story of why they're looking for Sutter Kane.
Yeah, but and then there's the whole. Well, if we're gonna go through beat by beat, we can wait till that point when they have this reveal of like, oh,
Yes.
we really was kind of set up. This actually was a big set for publicity, as if you needed it. Like, what possibly more? This is a worldwide sensation, translated into 18 different languages. Yeah,
People got to find ways to get more money, I guess.
Yeah. At
I
the
don't know.
end
I
of the
don't like
day,
it when they do talk about how it was supposed to be a publicity stunt, but then he never showed up.
It's like a late 80s, early 90s corporation-style publicity stunt. Yeah, they pulled that shit.
I do really appreciate when he goes to the corporate, as I just put in the notes, corporate president, 'cause I didn't know, but is Charlton Heston the actor? That was cool, seeing him in this.
Charlton Heston.
He's such a good actor.
It's his best work. Gosh. What came first? This or the other one I'm thinking of?
I really like Omega Man.
What's the other one you're thinking of?
Omega Man was good, but
Yeah.
no,
Omega
this
Man
is
should be good.
Charlton Heston's best role since his cameo in Wayne's World 2.
I love that cameo.
God.
He was perfect for this. And then when they're in the office and he's talking with the Linda, the woman that ends up joining him, I really felt like he was very flirty with her, and I feel kind of
Again.
unnecessary.
Again, part of the times.
Yeah.
Yeah, this felt a very of the time, like my best gal. Let's say a couple of comments. It felt very 80s, and this actually felt like something from the 80s version of this script, not necessarily the 90s version we got. Yeah, it felt very of its time.
And I was
And
really,
also, it adds to, again, what we're talking about. When you look back, this is life being perceived by a writer. You think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think about that enough, but you do have to when it comes to this, because the narrator, that you can always trust everything that you're seeing and what's being fed to you.
Yeah.
I do really appreciate, you see the scene like 3 times in this movie where he goes down the alley and he looks at this poster and then he gets distracted and ends up going and he sees a cop beating up some guy.
ACAB.
So,
A graffiti artist, I believe.
yeah, and I was thinking to myself, like, this didn't age very good, but
It aged as well as it was going to age, because even back then,
yeah.
Yeah.
We did have a lot of stuff back then, too, so.
And you're
I get
already
aged.
starting to see it's just a CA but in the
Yeah.
dream it's going to be completed.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we don't get what it all is yet until way later. Does that part make sense? Because I was very confused when he goes to the poster and there's a hole in it, and I'm like, what is there a hole in the poster for? Like, what is any of this? Like, I don't understand. And it wasn't until when the movie finally reveals it to you what's actually happening.
Yeah.
Which is probably one of the sillier points of the film or the story in general, because why would you put a poster of a creator's older work over the advertisement for their newest work?
Yeah.
It's just a metaphor for Trent finding himself within the author's work.
Fair.
But of course, at that point, you don't necessarily know that that's what he's going to find under.
No, you don't know what's coming.
Right, but by the time it does, you're just like, really?
Oh, and he's behind the Hobbs and horror, huh?
Ah.
Brilliant.
This is when he goes to the bookstore and then he buys a copy of Sutter Kane's other novel.
Which, okay, I'm going to call bullshit on this one. You were just at the goddamn publisher. And they can't fucking fork over some copies for you? You got to go spend your own money?
Okay, I thought the bullshit that you were calling is how fast he reads those books.
Oh, no.
That was for me, yeah.
I've
I'll
read
be-
some
I'll
shit
be-
that quickly.
I'll be honest. If you can get into a book and have a good reading uninterrupted, you could go through one of those trade paperbacks in a decent amount of time.
Here's my theory, is that it's an example to show us that more time is passing than we think it is.
Okay.
A good point too. A very good
Oh,
point.
That's
too.
how I took it. That it looks like it's just the next day and he read 4 novels in a night.
Totally,
But I'm wondering if it's supposed to be that he's been investigating this for like a week and been reading the novels, and then we just are picking back up.
Yeah.
Not actually. It's not what it feels like.
Yeah. And we've got to take that into account. I mean, let's face it. Like I said, depending on the length of a book, it is possible to read it in an hour, 2 hours, depending on the length of the book. If you can go uninterrupted, if you can get drawn into it. I mean, I've read some of the books in my library, which are about some of those are 200 pages, in literally an 8-hour time span, even less, because it's just so captivating you don't want to put it down. So it's possible. He's got to do it as part of his research, which, yeah, that's going to take time. I mean, you saw even as he was reading it, he had to take it away from him. Because, let's face it, how fast can you read something if you're not totally into it?
Yeah.
He has to force himself to read it. But
Yeah,
he touches on the key details.
I think it's supposed to allude that more time is passing than we realize, and I feel like it's a method to mark that without us knowing. That's just how I take it. And this is also when you have the first time where he's having dreams of people trying to kill him. What I put in my notes, and that's when they first say he sees you, but you don't know who he is.
Yep.
Ken, what did you think about the part when he starts cutting the covers off the books or rips the cover?
Okay, like I agreed with the critics from the time. That felt unearned. Like he just happens to be like, oh, these lines kind of look like they could be cut apart from something. Let me do that. And that's always been one of those things that I am weirdly annoyed at until I read the script. The script, there is a whole scene with Trent and Styles talking about this and eating Chinese food and discussing the case. And it is days later that he figures out that because of the way the books are stacked on his table, they look like something familiar. And that's why he starts cutting them up. So, like, the movie doesn't really show him come to this thought process. He just starts cutting. Knowing what's in the script now, and as opposed to what made it in the movie, it makes a little more sense, except the movie's what we judge based on. So
Yeah, that's really triggering, especially when one of the covers he pulls like 3 pages of the book along with it. Going, what are you doing? Now you're ruining the story as well.
It made me think of comic books.
Yeah, if and when you check out the video I shared in the chat, even the reviewer says in the scene that makes book lovers wince.
look,
Yeah.
that's something you gotta do, though. Like, if you have books that can't be sold, you have to rip the covers off before they get disposed of. I had to do this. This was a horrible part of my job.
Why
when I was
does this
younger.
have to happen?
Because at certain points, books can't be sent back to the publisher, and they get rotated out by companies that set up these displays. Then the books have to be disposed of. So you have to rip off the covers so they can't be resold.
Mm.
I hate this world.
Or you can just rip the covers off, send the covers back to the publisher, and then keep the books like I did.
Interesting.
At least you're giving some love to the book.
Oh, yeah. I always tried to give them a second home.
I have a
Or
comic
even
book.
snap off the ISBN.
Oh, you have to rip off the covers and send them back to the publisher.
Yeah, they want proof. I used to work at a Target. We didn't do that. We'd send the whole books back, but we never destroyed stuff. At least I'm not surprised. Like that's just it's just our world. I mean, they do it with comic books all the time. I mean, I found there's a lot of like old issues people will find that have no cover because they couldn't sell it, so they ripped off the covers and got their money back. Like I have a copy of the first appearance of Banshee X-Men something. It's missing the barcode because they cut off the barcode to send it back, but left the rest of the cover intact. Sort of intact. It's in bad shape, but I picked
This is making me physically ill.
I think you're physically breaking Phoebe right now. I think
It's a combination of things, but yes. I don't know. I wonder. It's too bad that scene wasn't in there because this movie's short. The movie's only an hour and a half long. Like you could have had that extra scene and it wouldn't have hurt, but they might have not even filmed it. So
I don't think they did. It's not on the Blu-ray.
okay, then they didn't film it then, probably. But I wouldn't have mind. I mean, it didn't bother me that he comes to it quick, but this seems like it makes more sense where it would have been nice to have it. I don't mind when he goes to the publisher and shows them the covers and puts it all together. And they're like, yeah, we don't believe you, but here, if you want to go look, here, take this woman with you.
Yeah. And, you talk about the length, that it's only an hour and a half long. The fans of the podcast will know that I love me a good tight 90 minutes. If you can say what you need to say and get out within 90 minutes, that's quality filmmaking.
I agree with you. I totally agree. Yeah. And I was very happy when I saw it was going to be 90 minutes. I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah, like I don't
doesn't
think
overstay.
this movie needs to be longer.
No, it really does not. Not at all.
It's a good pacing.
And
It
that's
slowly builds up, and when it hits that point, it is moving.
Yeah, totally. I agree with that. Yeah, I think it is very well paced. Yeah, I agree with that.
Oh, fun fact that I did not know this, and I'm curious if you guys do, so I'm going to present the question. But why they're driving at night, which is the first scene that's something that they're entering the madness. If they see the kid on a bike at night,
Yep.
and then you see the kid age rapidly, and I think he even says, I just want to get out, or he won't let me out, or something of that
he
nature.
won't let me leave.
Do you know who that actor turns out to be?
I know who the paperboy at the end of the movie is.
I think it's the same actor.
No, it isn't the same
It's not?
actor. No.
No.
Okay, never mind then. I was thinking of the end of the movie. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, who is it?
The end of the movie, Ken, do you want to say?
Oh, we'll get there.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll hold that. We'll put a pin in it.
Yeah, so
It's
we'll
bad
put a pin in it and run it up the flagpole to get some more synergy.
Every time I hear put a pin in it, what comes to my mind is fucking the movie Bolt. Every time.
Bolt?
Well, okay.
Oh, the dog?
Dog, yeah, because in that movie, the asshole agent says it to the girl, and that was the first time I heard the phrase put a pin in it. So now in my brain, every time I hear put a pin in it, goes to Bolt with that asshole. Every
Well,
single
okay.
fucking time.
We missed a big thing earlier, which is when he's in the
Please.
insane asylum, it plays the Carpenters. We've only just begun. And first of all, what a brilliant music choice, especially since in universe, the movie adaptation of the book is done by John Carpenter. So John
Right.
Trent knows that.
Ah!
But second of all, this isn't the horror movie that I think of when I think of this song. I think of 1408. I forgot entirely it was in this movie.
What's that?
Yeah.
Did you just ask what 1408 was?
Yeah, never heard
Oh,
of
no,
it.
no.
It
No,
is one of King's best adaptations.
It's up there, I would say.
Oh, okay, I know of it. I've seen
Yeah,
the poster. Never seen it.
And also just gotta love that that went back then at that point. He's like, oh no, not the Carpenters.
That was funny.
Yeah. Not the band that was supposed to be in the script.
Oh, really? What was supposed to be in the script?
In the script, it was supposed to be the Rolling Stones first. It was supposed to be Satisfaction.
We can't afford it.
And then in a later scene, it was supposed to be a music version of Yellow Submarine.
Mm.
That would have been
So-
a good too.
That make it just. They can't afford Rolling Stones. You kidding me? They would have lost so much money. Like they would have made $0. They made negative $4 billion on this movie.
Yeah. So, like,
Yeah.
I like it. It's perfect the way it is. The fact that it is the Carpenters, directed by John Carpenter, is fun.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
it's where it is.
Okay, so that was I do like the whole thing with the biker, and then she finally runs him over, or she thinks she does, and then all of a sudden they end up like she looks out the window and the car looks like it's flying through the sky, and then all of a sudden it's daylight and she's coming over a bridge.
I just want to go real quick before we get to that point. The moment where when they first encounter the child biker and they see him, they go past them, and then you see the biker in taillight as he's going away and kind of descending into darkness in the red gloom of those taillights. That is one of the low-key scariest moments of the whole movie for me. Like, as far as dread and creepiness, that, like, I don't know, for some reason that stuck with me. And I actually rewound it a little bit, yeah, on my VHS player.
You could have.
I rewound it. I actually went back a few seconds and I was like, I want to see that again. That was a really cool, just a very simple effect. Not, simple, but very effective in setting that kind of dread. I was just waiting for something else to come up on the screen, and sure enough, you do, and then he actually hits the person. But I just wanted to point that out. That was a really neat piece of filming.
Oh, Bill, was Jamie able to watch this with you?
No, she did not. She was not interested in this. She went Betty. Actually, last night we were just mindlessly, and I mean literally mindlessly, watching old episodes of How It's Made, because that is made by sociopaths who are the hell bent on enslaving the world with just tedium. So we're sitting there watching how toothpicks are made, and then I'm like, oh crap, it's 10 o'clock. I gotta watch Another Madness. So I'm sorry. Gotta watch a scary horror movie now. Thank you for saving me from 2 hours just staring at Tubi.
Okay, here
of How It's Made.
the boy on the bicycle was his name. The actor's name was Sean Ryan. He now goes by the name Sean Vertigo. Apparently, he's got some music videos to his credit.
Okay.
Like he's the director of them or the singer?
Director.
Nice.
He also directed something called Paranormales, Camino, and Insta Millionaire Mystery Donor, a TV series, but I can't tell anything else on that.
I was going to give him crap for his name, but I realize it's Kenneth Sanity. I cannot.
So I really like when they drive to Hobbs End, and it's just a small little town of what, like as someone from the Midwest, it really made me think, oh, okay, yeah, this fits something in the New England area.
Yeah.
It looks like Slade's Corners, Wisconsin, is really what it looks like.
I mean, you forgot something before all this weirdness really goes into. I mean, when they're driving and it's still the daylight and she's asleep.
Oh, yeah, I didn't put that in my notes.
Reached into the glove compartment and pulled out a little horn and...
What an asshole move.
What? Yeah, completely. Like, what are you doing?
I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah. It is funny. It's like the reviewer that again, I showed that in the video. He says it's like it must have been his own bunch of silliness to throw into this.
Let her sleep. Why are you waking her up?
And then she throws the chips at him. Don't throw chips at the driver.
It's a nice little moment because it's showing them it's giving them a little bit of time to get to know each other, which is going to make and I like the movie for this. I appreciate them having these moments of levity where they kind of bond a little bit, because again, in this tight 90 minutes, we don't have a ton of time for them to become really cozy. So having these little moments of almost brother sister kind of ribbing and getting at each other was actually fun, and I appreciated it because it makes what happens later on hit just a little bit more. Not a ton, I won't say. I don't think nothing's crazy earned here, but I definitely believe it was good.
It's kind of those weird moments that you don't take the lighthearted moments in a book when you have something, just an intense moment, and or you're building up to a tense moment, and then boom, here's something silly just to throw you off.
So I have a question. When they get to the town and she sees the kids chasing a dog, but why doesn't he see it?
He's not meant to see it.
Or he's not paying attention because he just woke up.
He doesn't see it a couple times.
It's one of those odd things. Well, as you're waking up, there are times you don't pick up on certain things. Something like kids chasing a dog isn't necessarily quiet, though.
No, but I think it's. I mean, it's. I don't think it's that. I think it's supposed to be that he just. She read part of the book before as it was being written.
Yeah.
She's the editor, so I think that's part of it. Because later on, he does see the kids and they're more deformed. So that's how. It's just a weird little scene. It was something I thought of where he doesn't notice it, and I do like that. Even though nobody's around, I think you see I put in my notes bloody axe. That you see you see an axe somewhere for like a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just hanging out in a stump. It's fine.
Yeah, with blood on it. Yeah.
It's fine.
It's very normal. I do like that they go to the hotel and it's from the books. And I like how he's making comments like, oh, yeah, you're just trying to get people's money. But, hey, you can come to the hotel from the books. Like, you know, like I love that how he's so upset.
And the hotel is...
Church.
But the hotel is also a nod to Lovecraft.
Yeah, you couldn't really get much more on the nose than Mrs. Pickman.
Yeah.
God.
I mean, I've read the story. It's a short story. I've also heard people read it. And it is just typical of it is definitely a Lovecraft work when it just, the unnerving part, it's revealed at the end of that story. But it's a way of just telling you, if you know Lovecraft's works, things are really going to start getting weird.
I'm trying to remember which story of his has to do with the hotel.
Pickman's model.
Yeah,
Oh my God, I'm so stupid.
Yeah.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, he's
never
written
read-
like a ton of stuff.
I mean, it's not one that's set in a hotel, but it's the name that's supposed to grab you.
Well, like, even there's the deepening, which could be Shadow over Innsmouth. You have the Sutter Kane book, lovingly called The Haunter Out of Time, which is just one word away from being an actual Lovecraft story. There's a lot going on here.
The
Same with
Hobbs
The
End
Whisperer of the Dark.
and the Hobbs End Horror.
The Thing in the Basement. That's 100% the Thing on the Stair.
Yeah,
Like-
Dunwich Horror, etc., etc.
Yeah,
Thing on the stair or the thing on the doorstep.
yeah, that's what it was. Thing on the doorstep. But like every time you hear Sutter Kane, like anytime that somebody's reading from his stuff, it's just H.P. Lovecraft that has been modified to fit into the story.
Yep. Yeah, it's all different bits and pieces from different short stories to pull it in. Also, if on the subject of Pikmin, since this is a video game podcast, for all my Fallout 4 maniacs out there, my fellow Fallout 4 crazy people, Pikmin's Gallery is one of the best side quests in that entire game. It's the creepiest damn thing.
Straight it is.
So freaking good. So hey, yeah,
I'll have to look that up.
the little
I'm not a
tentacle
player
all
of
over the place.
Fallout.
Oh, it's great.
I should really play those someday.
So that's two Lovecraft games, or two Fallout games in a row that have Lovecraft references.
New Vegas does too?
No, Fallout 3 actually has the Dunwich house.
Oh, I only played 3 once and a long time ago.
Dunwich House. Woo.
Yeah, that's a good one. And Fallout Far Harbor is basically a giant 20-hour Lovecraft DLC. So just go ahead and have fun with it. It's
Yeah, I'm
great.
already reading something also. Let's see. I just started playing like The Evil Within. I don't know if that has any Lovecraftian in it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'll still enjoy it. I'll enjoy that, although that first chapter in the game is, whoa, intense. No, actually, right now I just started reading one of the Sherlock Holmes versus Cthulhu books.
How are those?
It's definitely one that grabs you, I'll say that. I haven't gotten too far into it, but I've already had a machine that seems to be alive from plans that were passed down for generations and generations and have been originally drawn on animal hide.
One thing that really, this is the thing that bothers me in real life that I'm always scared of that's going to happen, even though it doesn't happen. I don't like the idea of the painting changing. Like when they get to the hotel and they're looking at this painting and you see it suddenly start to change and move, that freaks me out so much in just real life. Anything that might do that, like I have a very big fear of that. Of that happening. I mean, nothing. I just don't like. I don't know. It's just something like I would. That's one of those things that I mean, not like it's actually gonna happen, but if I actually saw it, that would just freak me the fuck out.
I have some playing cards in the other room I have to email you now.
So
I mean, you've seen, well, then again, you probably didn't, but I mean, when we did Eternal Darkness, the one painting in the Roivas mansion is like that. Your sanity has to be really low
in a long
to see
time,
what it really is, but
very long time. But that was just something I was thinking of. And this is when they go visit the church. I do like the stuff with the church because it starts to add more to the craziness that's happening. Again, you have the kids and the dogs again running around. And I like it when the guys show up in the car and she's like, they're going to have guns. And he's like, how do you know? And she's like, it's in the book. And this also leads more into how he thinks that she's fucking with him. But I was just thinking about it, like when you see the little kid, and all of a sudden you see Sutter Kane in the the doorway of the church, and when he does release the Dobermans, all I could think of was Resident Evil. But that's a me thing.
Cerberus is jumping through the window. Oh no!
But I also like how they just leave the freaking, like, they just start, when the dogs start coming, they start running, and one guy or a couple of guys get bit by a dog, and they just drive off and leave them there to die. And I'm like, man, you guys suck.
They're saving their own hides.
But what about your friend?
It's how they were ridden, Mike.
Remember, if you are with a friend in the woods and you come across a hungry charging bear, your plan is not outrun the bear, outrun your friend.
But I do appreciate when they do get back to the hotel and John is just going on about how everything is staged and all this is fake, and you just want, it's all a big way to get the check and to get more fans, and like this whole, where he's just telling them how they're doing this to fraud and everything else. And I like how she's just like, that's not what's happening.
That's not what's happening. And the fact that, because what you're saying is actually true. We were planning that, but, and this is when you find out, Kane didn't show up for the publicity stunt.
He never came.
Yeah.
True.
And she admits that that's all happening. It's in what I've read so far of the book. The book, they don't even know if the book's finished yet. They've only seen certain chapters. He's still writing it when they're looking for him.
Yeah, because he finishes it during this movie.
Yeah, but because things are happening like they said in the book, that's what's unnerving her.
Yeah, because she knows. And she's handling it appropriately.
I mean, their plan was, of course, yes, he's going to be missing. So we have an insurance investigator join us to try and find him. But the initial plan was, yes, he was supposed to go into hiding. We were going to know where he was, but we're saying we don't know where he was so that we can build up the publicity for the book. I mean, let's face it, Agatha Christie disappeared for about a week at one time in her life. She was the center of her own mystery, but nobody knew where she had gone to. She turned back up.
Blair Witch Project, right? They made those kids disappear for a year. I mean,
that movie, huh?
The very controversial Cannibal Holocaust, where the actors had gone into hiding to, quote, help sell it. And then because people were concerned about their health, it's like, oh, no, they're still alive. See, we have them here.
Doesn't that movie have other controversial things about it, too?
Yeah, but that was one of the big ones. They thought they actually killed the actors.
Yeah, they had to reproduce them for the court case.
Imagine that actor was like being salty and was like, no, actually, I'm not going to show up for the court case. You're just going to have to, I don't know, just make up a story. This whole thing with this kind of like subterfuge of like, oh, this is all planned, but now, yes, this was all kind of set up ahead of time, but now I promise it isn't. I don't know how much I love this as far as like a narrative piece. I think it's kind of unnecessary. Maybe it's just me being an elderly gentleman who just wants things simpler, but I almost would rather this just being like this kind of cosmic horror. We didn't see this coming. Having this little extra piece of, okay, well, we really were screwing you over. Like we really did. Like we really were pulling the wool over your eyes. But now this is really it. I think I see what they're going with this because they're really still trying to present Sam Neill as somebody who's very good and can sniff out the nonsense and sniff out the BS. I think it's been well established. I don't know if I love that little hiccup in there. I guess it doesn't hurt the movie at all, I don't think. But for me, it's one of those like, all right, seems a little writery.
It's a hat on a hat.
Yeah. That's a very good way of putting it. Thank you. It's a hat on a hat. Yes.
It's information to feed to Trent's mind that there is still a logical explanation for all of this.
Yeah, and you never know. Could she be lying to further push into the fiction of what's going on here?
Yeah, because you have a few times that Trent says, this is reality. I mean, he knocks on the table. This is reality.
Yeah, and during the car ride, she asks him, well, what happens when the insane and the sane switches places? When the majority is madness, what are you then?
When he does go back down in the hotel, because this is when Linda leaves him, I forget why she takes off and takes the car and runs away. She doesn't go far, but she takes the car and leaves them.
She goes back to the church.
Okay, but when you see the old woman, her eyes are much more baggy. which I didn't. I was like, I noticed that. I'm like, wait, there's all this like darkness under her eyes, and then that's when you notice her husband, because you hear her husband somewhere. And I thought maybe he's in a different room or something, but then you look down. The camera looks down after he leaves, and you see that this naked guy is handcuffed to her.
Yep.
That was so strange.
Such a good detail.
Great. I mean, talk about unnerving.
I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And you get a little bit more of the town because John then goes to a bar, and he's talking with the guy Vigo from Ghostbusters 2, but it's the guy that we saw earlier with the shotgun at the church that was upset about their kids being missing.
Yeah.
And you just have more of him writing notes about how this is a fraud and what they did, because he's still very much like, yeah, none of this is real, even though the guy's like, no, this is real. Like, this isn't, we're all part of a story or something like that, I think is what the guy says.
Mind you, that when he comes in there, when Trent's in there and writing that down, you're not a writer, are you?
Not
That's
anymore.
a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
Oh, yeah, I liked it. When you see her go to the church, this is when I think she goes insane, isn't it?
This is the
It's
start
where
of
things
it.
are starting. It's where she's really starting to. I mean, she's already on edge because everything that's happening in what she's read is happening in quote real life.
And that's gotta fuck with you so much that something you read that is fiction is happening just the way it was written down. Like, that's gotta be like deja vu can be annoying, but this is like deja vu on steroids type of thing.
Yeah.
Plus, this is where she sees the book, and the book does drive her loopy.
Because he pushes her into the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But of course, it's all in the reveal. I mean, first thing, she arrives there, the kids are there.
Yeah,
It's
those
Mommy's Day.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of those creepy kids. They're just a bunch of good eggs, all of them. I just really like a good creepy kid in a movie. It's a thing that works.
One
They
of
were all
those.
just left over from Village of the Damned. Let's be fair.
Totally.
Those damn
Yeah,
kids.
it's fair for
Yeah, Village of the Dam came after this.
Yes, that's what I felt.
Oh,
too.
was it?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's after. But John Carpenter was involved in too.
Yeah.
He wrote it, I think.
Definitely. But the fact of the matter is, then she's going in. She's trying to find Trent. I mean, not Trent, Kane. She opens the door. The typewriter's there. She closes the door, looks away. Then she hears the typing. And she opens the door, and, well, he's at the typewriter. The room's changed inside. And she, after, I guess, a brief conversation, she basically, shoves her face right into the book.
You think Sutter Kane was writing all work and no play makes Sutter Kane a dull boy? Over and over again?
No.
No, it was probably writing something good.
He is being led by the old ones. I mean, I'm sure it was pretty awesome. Whatever it was.
The
Man.
ideas were flowing.
Whenever I hear old ones, all that kept going to my brain in this movie was Bloodborne.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Excellent.
So, but nobody said fear the old blood. So, hey, but I just love that. I was just enjoying. I am getting a little bit more into Cthulhu stuff because we've done a few episodes on this show that are getting near Cthulhu things. I'm starting to get interested a bit more. I'm not going to read any H.P. Lovecraft stuff, but I am curious. I really want to play Call of Cthulhu,
Good game.
Actually, from what I understand, it's a good game. Yeah.
and I own it. So
You're talking about the 2018 release, of course.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
Good
thought
game. I played through
2005.
that. That was great.
Yeah, we'll put it on next year for the. I have it. I got it on Steam at some point, but I'm also realizing that I really like psychological horror like this. This is my kind of horror.
This is
Yeah.
horror that it gives you just enough to let your imagination do the work. It doesn't rely on, hey, here's an axe. Watch it go into this body multiple times with blood spraying everywhere in slow motion.
Don't
Wait,
like
that's Monty
that,
Python.
but I like this. So this is my type of thing.
Should watch Jacob's Ladder at some point.
That was the first thing that came up on my recommendations after finishing watching this was Jacob's Ladder.
It was like the
Same.
second
First
thing
one,
down.
yeah, it was the first thing came up. I was like Jacob's Ladder, and I was almost like, "Don't mind if I do." But then again, it was like midnight, and I'm like, "I didn't know." That's a good
Yeah.
one too. Good one.
Oh, this is and then Styles just randomly shows up at the hotel, like she just comes back and she's just there. But I think she like passes out or something in his arms, or
Yep. Passes
Yeah.
out.
Has some kind of verbal breakdown.
okay.
Yep.
I'm unfortunately not watching the movie while we talk because my wife is watching the movie upstairs and Prime won't let me have it in two places at once.
Oh, she's watching.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Same account. So, but yeah, no, because she didn't get a chance to watch it with me, so now she's watching it while we're talking. And she told me, she's like, "I'm ahead of you." She can hear our conversation. And she also texted me. She's like, "Why is that woman not scared of the kid with the vampire teeth?" I'm like, "Oh, don't worry. She won't be calm for long."
No,
So,
not at all.
But this is also where you get Linda talking about how she's losing herself,
Yes,
which is
that's the
terrifying.
Yep. She's literally it's somebody who's trying desperately to grasp on to who she believes she is and is no longer able to. It's a very, very scary. That's what I was trying to remember what she was saying. It's like something to the effect of, I'm losing myself. I can't find myself. Ugh, very, very chilling moment of somebody going insane. That's very scary.
She gets hit hard too in this movie.
Oh yeah,
She goes
definitely.
through a lot of shit.
Of course, he goes down then, and then he really sees how much that painting has changed.
Oh man, I would love to get a copy of that final painting version to hang
It's
up.
so great. What a beautiful
Is that
painting.
The two monsters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just crawling on the grass.
And that
It's so
the church
wonderful.
is in the background.
Oh,
So good.
Ken, what's wrong with us? That our first thought was like, ooh, I wish I had a place to hang that. That's not, I don't know if that's a normal thing to think. Because that was literally my thought. I was like, oh, that's a gorgeous picture. I love that. I want to print.
It's not, but that's fine. I don't need to be normal.
Neither do I. I'm commiserating with you because my exact thought was like, oh, that's a beautiful print.
Normal is relative.
It's how Kane wrote us.
Good point. Normal is relative. That's right.
and there's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, maybe how he wrote you. I'm my own man.
And then, of course, he goes down to the basement because he heard something down there and he's trying to find.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's our first real. He's now finally getting exposed to some of this, but it's not enough to fully convince him yet.
So, Ken, when I saw this monster, all I could think of was the Thing.
That's fair. I mean, it is tentacly, so I can see that. This movie was supposed to be a person in a suit, but it didn't quite work out as well as everybody wanted. So it was just miniature,
Oh, all right.
which
It feels life-sized.
yeah, it does feel life-size, but no, that's a miniature.
Is this when she kills her husband, or is that later?
Yeah.
No, this is where
That's-
she's chopping him.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think
Yeah.
you also have a very brief scene where he goes to go check on Linda upstairs, and you see tentacles come out from like underneath the door and stuff.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. And what a brilliant thing that this is the second time we've seen that shot.
Because we've seen that before in like the flashes.
Yeah, when Linda is shown the book, we pretty much just get to see the rest of the movie. We just don't know it yet.
Oh yeah, I do
Get
have comments on that
snippets
too.
of
Like,
it.
like also one thing we didn't talk about when they first get to the hotel and you see like the greenhouse, and she points out, she's like, "Yep, there's a monster in that greenhouse in the book." And then when he leaves and gets out to his car, there's you see the old woman turning into a monster standing in the greenhouse, and I'm just like, that was damn good.
Yep.
I really appreciated that a lot.
But it's only quick glimpses
But
and the
that's-
lightning flashes.
That's fine. All you need are quick glimpses, but I mean, I want it to be quicker. I don't want it to be stuff that sticks around where you can point the airs in it. I want it to be quick and just there.
Yep. Less is more.
So, and this another when he tries to leave town and you have people blocking the main street and they're all holding torches. Unfortunately, the first thing that came to my mind and never left my mind was the city of Yarnum in Bloodborne in the first part when you fight the townsfolk that are trying to be hunters.
Yep.
Mhm.
That's all I could think of.
Now, but the thing is, you forgot the most important thing now. You're jumping to him trying to leave town.
Whoa!
The first thing he does is go to the bar.
I think that's because he can't. He goes to the bar because he's trying to leave town, but the people are blocking it, so he gets out and then ends up in the bar.
Yeah. It's really fun that that's what breaks his belief in reality. It's not the old lady. The old lady is just, setting up the cracks. But there's no real way to fake blowing your own brains out.
Yeah. And even before that, when the guy is talking about he doesn't remember which came first, him or the book, there is a line there that you only catch it on when you look back on or somebody points it out to you. All this time, Trent has been going, this is reality. This is reality. This time he points at the man and said, this is not reality. It's
Starting to question everything.
And when the guy finally shoots himself, this is the moment where Trent can no longer come up with a plausible excuse for everything. They cannot be actors. They cannot be this could not be set up ahead of time. This is reality. It's the sane man finally having to accept the insane.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
That's what makes it so good.
Right.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that.
And this is when they start adding in. I mean, this is now when he realizes that Styles is in the group of the people there. Actually, she's up in front. Well, actually, no, he saw that before. But now as he comes out of the bar, there she is, and whack! She hits him again.
When he puts her in the car and then he gets the keys and she swallows the keys, I'm just like, what the fuck?
That's so good.
Yep. Then she tries to kiss him.
Well, that's how he wrote it.
Yeah.
It did get me, though, when she does that. I mean, just everything with that, when she swallows the keys, I'm like thinking to myself, wouldn't that hurt? Those aren't that small.
And then what follows?
Cliche.
Yeah.
And the keys were made out of pasta.
Well, in real life, yes.
Then what follows, of course, is when he actually does get the car started and he does all his things. I love the point where he pulls over after she tries to give him the unearned smooch. Not earned, if you're asking.
I didn't put the notes, but I thought about it.
Yeah, no. But what I will say, one of my favorite visual bits, this is so Carpenter. I just love, this is such a John Carpenter thing. When she emerges from the car into this like backwards crab, back cracking, her head spins all the way upside down. So glorious. What glorious horror that is. Oh, it's chilling and just creepy in all the great ways. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I clapped.
I was not okay with that part.
Oh, I loved it so much. Of course I did. I'm a psychopath.
I know you did.
So
it bothered me. It made me uncomfortable.
Yeah, and also the guy from the bike is there too.
Yep.
That's when he says like "thank you" or something like that because he finally gets out.
Hey, I didn't catch what he said there. Of course, then Trent gets back in the car and drives off.
What else you gonna do?
Tries to.
Yeah, it's just like, back in town.
That was cool. He can't get out of it. He just keeps ending up in town, no matter what he does.
And that is such a Stephen King thing, too. That is such a Stephen King style short story thing that he would do and has done in different short stories. I really appreciate that as part of, like, again, a horror writer of that era. That would be a very good trick that they would pull.
Oh, it took 7 books for him to do it at one point.
I remember there's one story in particular that I remember reading that has a lot of that, like, you can't leave. Every time you leave, you're right back where you started.
It's the plane crash one, I think.
That's probably the one. Yeah, that's probably the one, yeah.
I think the name of it is, like, that feeling that you have in French, because the whole point of it is deja vu.
Yeah.
Yep. And of course, once he realizes he's not going to get out going the opposite direction,
he drives through the mob.
Who you notice that he didn't necessarily cause any of them to go flying.
Well, I think they move. I think they all step out of the way, except for Linda, who somehow is here, and then he crashes into the wall, or he just crashes to avoid her.
Yep, and he ends up in confessional.
Hey, Phoebe, is it bad that when I saw the confessional, the first thing I thought of was Boondock Saints?
Not at all.
I don't know, but that's what I'm like, oh, yeah.
No, because I thought of Evil first.
They weren't in Boston, but they were in New England. So
well, that's because everything Lovecraftian is in New England.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't they cut down New Jersey in this movie too at one point? I thought they make a snide mark about New Jersey.
Well, if they're in New York, yeah, they're going to make a snide remark about New Jersey. Everybody in New York makes a snide mark about New Jersey. And
I thought of you, Bill, because I'm pretty sure they say something about New Jersey, and Bill came to mind immediately.
I didn't notice it. They may have. I may have missed it, but I would not be surprised.
I feel like there was something, but that's not important. But then this is when he finally meets with Sutter Kane and gets, and this is when the book is finished. Like you see him typing, like, the book is done.
Yep, and now it is his job to deliver it.
This is when Kane goes. He's like, I have a meeting with my publishers or something like that. I think he says.
Yeah, he has to meet with his new publishers.
Yeah, really line. Good line. Yep.
And again, all I think of was old gods. I like Cthulhu stuff. I really do like the theme of that.
Hell yeah, Laird Baron. What's that? It's my boy.
Oh, the Imago sequence and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, love that stuff.
And he also mentions. And he mentions about the difficulties with religion is when it comes to the horror, it does not properly describe the horror.
Because you can't.
and that's why he can. And he mentions how popular he is. He's more popular. His works have been translated into more languages than the Bible.
More people believe in it.
Yeah.
And the silly little thing of Trent wanting to peer into the void, and Linda reads that the void does in fact look back.
And this was also something that reviewer said. The line where he's describing the church, this line is apparently taken right out of Lovecraft's works.
That's not surprising.
Yeah. And
It's really funny that they're always considered undescribable horrors. But then you look at them throughout the movie and you're like, that's a mutated people.
Well,
but we're seeing it from the viewpoint of the movie itself, which in universe exists.
We'll get there.
Yeah. But it's just one of those things. All these indescribable horrors. We have always, and this is why it's very tricky for any film that's Lovecraftian to excel, because they're trying to put description to these horrors. With the way that Carpenter did it, and this is when we get the monster mass or wall of monsters or whatever you want to call it. Like I said, I saw how this one was done.
Oh, in the tunnel?
Yep. You see, you never get a complete good look at this thing due to the lighting, due to the quick snippets.
There's a bunch of them, right? There's like a bunch of them
Yeah.
Coming after him. There's
Yeah.
a whole litany of creatures coming after him. You make a good point. The Lovecraftian stuff is really not so much about the monster, but the monster's effect on the people around them. And that's what's really fun about cosmic horror. And that's very much so what happens here. It's not so much about the monster creatures, although of course, you know me, I like a good goopy monster. I like slime coming out of walls. I like all of that stuff's just really fun for me. And it's really all about the seeing the terror on someone's face and the effect that they have. So, and that's how you kind of have to do that. I've not seen. There's a few Lovecraft adaptations I've not seen, but this does a very good job of that, where it kind of holds all that behind the curtain a little bit and really focuses on the effects it's having around the people around them.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the biggest problem with cosmic horror when it comes to filming, is that it is primarily an internal process. It's, the fear of knowing that there is something so much bigger outside of yourself that exists, and it's just as uncaring and cold as you are caring and warm. So being confronted with the infinity and the blackness and knowing that nothing out there cares about you, that's a big cornerstone of cosmic horror, which you can't really show somebody's internal process with something like that. Right. But this movie does do as well as it can.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right. This is about as good as it's going to get when it comes to showing the effects of that. Yeah, and that's what's cool about cosmic horror for me, is because that stuff's very scary, and that idea of that inky black nothingness that something lives in that's been around for a millennia and has no care at all. It's a very terrifying idea.
And of course, when he finally trips while running away from this thing, he ends up on the road.
I like that a lot.
Where he talks to a paper boy.
Ken.
Yeah.
Who is that actor?
That paper boy is our once and future Anakin Skywalker, Hayden Christensen.
Oh!
First movie.
Oh, wow.
Yep. When I was watching this, the whole thing is that Kane said, here, you're going to take my book and your job is to get it published for me or bring it, deliver it. And he leaves the book and wanders off the road. He's like, where's the highway? That way? I'm like, wait, he's not carrying the book.
He also asks, have you ever heard of Hobbs End?
Yes.
No.
Because it doesn't exist. I did like that, though. And then he gets a ride from a truck. He ends up at a motel. And all of a sudden, the guy's like, is your name this? And he's like, yeah. Here, I got a package for you. And he gets so upset, and he grabs the guy. Later, I think, does he open the package first and get upset with the people?
He opens it, then gets upset. Well, obviously.
I like that. He's like, who did this? He's like, I don't know. The guy's like, nobody. I was just there all of a sudden. Until the owner's like, I was here when it was delivered.
Good. Isn't there a scene before that where he's at some sort of like county?
Yeah, there is a scene there that he's at
a little bit later.
Is that a little bit later when he goes, I want to see your supervisor?
Yeah, because he has the book, and then he's burning the book page by page in the sink, which all I could think of is, wouldn't that set off the smoke detector?
Not if it's doing page by page.
And really burning it in the sink is the best way to do it.
Yeah, it's porcelain. Not gonna.
Yeah.
No, he takes the bus to New York City, and then it's after that when he goes to the county office.
The bus, one of the best
Yes.
best scenes showing how things are.
My favorite color is blue.
That is so good how he says that in the dream, then all of a sudden everything has a blue tint to it. And like the more that we talked about it and the fact that there's blue throughout this entire movie, like that just adds to it.
And
So
it's the perfect reaction. Although we then see that it also was a dream.
It's a dream
Sort of.
within a dream.
Yeah.
And at this point, he's fading in and out. You know, obviously everything is swimming in his head. Who knows what's real, what's not, which makes it a lot of fun. You're right. His reaction is exactly right. Has anybody on this show been on like a long bus ride, like a really long, multiple state bus ride?
8 hours, the most I've ever.
Yeah, it's long enough. That's about as long as I've been on a bus as well. 8 hours.
Yeah, I haven't been on any that long, but I've been on a few of the bus trips that go. Let's see, we had a bus. Well, given how big Pennsylvania is, you know, you could have a long bus trip.
Yeah, you can go across the state in about 8 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, but let's see. I've gone from where I live to where the Renaissance Fair in Pennsylvania is on a bus trip. That was with a school. I've chaperoned trips with my daughter. So technically, if you want to really count it, we've actually gone out of the country linked to a bus trip. We went to the UN in New York.
Nice. Well, the reason I asked that is that bus trips, especially if you're taking like a Greyhound bus, that's different from a chartered bus with people you know, and like a chartered bus to places. I've done the chartered bus to like DC from Jersey to New York to DC, and I've done that a couple of times. You're just on a bus with random people. It's not as romantic as Simon and Garfunkel makes it seem like in that America song. It's nowhere near. It is really just the worst way to travel. It's terrible.
Yeah.
No advantages at all in traveling by a bus. You're just stuck in the same dumb traffic. You just don't have to drive.
Now Amtrak, that's where it's at.
Yeah, Amtrak's not bad. I've done Amtrak 8 hours from Milwaukee to St. Paul, Minnesota, and that's not. Amtrak wasn't bad. Bus, I remember being cramped, and I was writing at the time, and I wrote a short story. Remember that?
The longest trip I've ever taken was only on an airplane, and that's when we flew from Newark to, God, now I can't think of the name of Heathrow in London.
Oh, yeah.
When he does get back to New York, that's when he goes to the county office, and he gets all upset at them and starts yelling at them.
I told you 12 times, sir. There's no such thing.
It can't. No, he had to have done that before. I think he does that. He should have done that before the bus ride.
No, he does it after.
Because you're looking in for Hobbs End in New Hampshire. So you wouldn't talk to someone in New York about it.
Yeah, but it is after the bus ride that he does talk about it. And then he goes to the county office when they show it in the movie.
Then again, when the big thought that this is all a story, this now also makes sense there too.
And this is when you see him walking down the alley he had been in before, but this time he rips off the poster and sees himself on the poster.
Mm-hmm.
And he realizes that the book is his story. He starts to kind of realize what's going on.
I think, isn't that a list a little bit after he talks to them in the office?
No, he does the poster, then he's talking with the corporate guy in the office.
Okay.
And that's when I do love when he's like, when he's talking to him, he's like, yeah, you sent me with Linda. And he's like, Linda, you went alone. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
That is so good. It's just because it also adds to him being crazy. It adds to kind of show the fact that he's completely losing it.
Also shows the fact that reality is being rewritten.
I love that. God, what did we did something on the show that was like that. Oh, yeah. Phoebe, it took a second. Alan Wake 2, where reality's being rewritten.
Yep.
Fuck, there's stuff that Alan Wake 2 took from this too.
Well, that's just cosmic horror in general, is the idea that reality isn't what you think it is.
I haven't been introduced to enough.
That's the fun part, is he technically is going insane, but what is sanity and insanity when reality is so much more than what you think it is?
Yeah. He is understandably going insane because his reality is literally changing, and time is a circle and all that fun stuff. Yeah.
The one thing that I really want to talk about in this sequence here
Please.
Is the insane turnaround time for the movie. The book was delivered months ago.
Yeah,
it's been on the shelves for 6 weeks. The movie is coming out next month.
Damn.
There are some real world versions of that, sadly.
It doesn't make any damn sense.
Especially if they didn't have the movie, especially if the book wasn't completed until seconds before it ended up on the shelves. I mean,
Yeah, like that's the
I was
thing.
thinking that too.
I swear to God, there's a real world scenario where a book was coming out by an author, and the author was so revered that the movie pretty much came out the month after the book came out, but the book was a financial failure. I can't remember what it was, but I swear something like this has happened in the real world.
It's possible it might have, but also remember, as of right now, we're now more and more inside somebody's book.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, there's that too, but I was thinking about that too when he kept. But I do love that scene when Charlton Heston tells him, "You delivered the book months ago." That is so good. And you see this is when things start to get a little crazy. You see the long line of people that are buying the book, and there's more news about violence. And I like how John's standing there, and the guy's holding a copy of the book. This kid is, and he has like his eyes are bleeding, and he's like, "Are you a fan of Sutter Kane?" It's like. Something like that, he said. He said, "This won't come as a surprise," and all of a sudden you just see the axe, and he just kills him.
Yeah.
Running parallels to the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And that's how you get admitted.
Appreciated that, like how they did that.
Yeah.
And because this is when the movie finally gets back to where the movie started, that he's in the cell and the doctor leaves.
Yep.
I do like, he's like, "I don't want to leave my cell. I want to stay right in here."
Yeah. And Wren leaves, thinking he's gotten absolutely nothing. And then you have the last quote real spoken line from a actual character you see in the movie. Do you read Sutter Kane?
And I gotta wonder if that is implying that Saperstein reads it.
Oh, absolutely.
So is he the one that changes and murders everybody there?
Oh. But why doesn't he go in John's cell?
Well, two reasons for that. One, potentially all of the crosses. But second, why would you kill your main character off?
Yeah.
2 words. Plot armor.
Yeah, probably.
See, Bridget gets it.
Again, I just started thinking of Alan Wake too.
As you should. It should always be in your
story.
head.
The main character can't just win. You have to sacrifice something.
It's not a loop. It's a spiral.
Bill, if you never played it, you should play Alan Wake 1 and 2 someday.
I've never played it. Yeah, I never came. I mean, I know of it, obviously, but
1's a thriller, 2's a straight up horror game.
And if you really want to get the mind fuck, you play Control.
That's just the SCP Foundation turned into a video game.
I started Control. I started it and I bounced off pretty fast. I gotta try it again.
It's fun. Depending on when you play, there's a lot of things you can mess with to make the game really easy. So it can be a very fun, just quick playthrough and not have to worry about challenge. If you get to a point where like, this is too hard, you can have 1-hit kills. You can have where you can't die. I did that near the end. Game's fun.
I'm working my way through it. It's a fun game.
So I was just thinking about that when he sees all the murders, but when he walks out of his cell and he starts, and you just see everything is a mess. And unfortunately, one of the things that came to my mind when he walked into the lobby was Resident Evil Apocalypse, the opening of that movie.
The ending of Resident Evil.
Yeah. That's what I started thinking of, where she pulls out when she wakes up in the hospital and starts pulling all the IVs out. I was thinking of that scene. Because, like, he gets outside and you see, like, vehicles that are all damaged and overturned, and I'm just like...
Yeah.
And I do love hearing the radio in the lobby that's like, "It's the end of the world," and like, "Don't talk to your friends, like, don't talk to people you know, don't trust anybody," and it's just, I'm like, this is good.
If there's anybody alive, and he walks to the theater where there's a poster for the movie.
Yeah, that's the best part.
Yep. Replacing Sam Neill, Charlton Heston, and Julie Carmen with John Trent, Linda Stiles, Jackson Harlow.
And when he goes into the theater to watch the film, and all of a sudden I realize that it's the movie that we're watching is what he's watching.
Yep.
It is so good.
I just want to know where he got that big old bucket of popcorn. Did he? I don't think anyone's still alive. Is the projectionist still alive?
Well, there are, because you see him in the background while he's walking down the street towards the theater. There's like 2 potentially normal people just back there.
Or 2 potentially normal people about to mutate.
The way
That's the short story. I want the short story where the projectionist of the apocalypse, who no matter what happens, that person is there just running the movies and making that popcorn buttery until the end of time, till they can't do it anymore. That's the story I want.
I have 2 things to send Bill in the future.
Do you really? I want.
Yeah. One of them is a episode of an anthology show that stars Patton Oswalt of all people.
God.
In which 3D glasses and a 3D movie are what the cosmic horror comes out of.
Let's go. Okay.
And the other one is an Alex Bale short film.
Wow. Okay.
I saw something about that a Patton Oswalt thing. I forget where I saw it though. It's one of those movie recap things. I occasionally check them out.
Yeah, I think it's Channel 101 was the one that he was on.
And then when he is watching the movie, the very last thing you see of Sam Neill is he starts laughing, then he starts crying.
Yep.
And I appreciate
Hysterical
that.
laughter into realization.
And what was it, the credits that you guys were talking about?
Okay.
Oh.
You go through the credits, and of course, you have the standard disclaimer: no animals were harmed in the making of this movie, because it was monitored at all times. But then after that, human interaction was monitored by the Interplanetary Psychiatric Association. The body count was high. The casualties are heavy.
Very, very cute.
And it is like the 3rd out of 4 disclaimers right before the New Line Cinema logo, which is the end of a credit sequence. And if you pay attention right at the beginning of the credits, and when it shows all the actors and their roles, Sam Neill is not there.
Oh.
There are 3 prominent characters missing from, or maybe even 4, because I don't think Sutter Kane shows up in the credits either.
Oh.
Interesting. They can legally do that?
With arbitration, they can. If it's a thing that they're trying to do, that's weird.
Plus, they
Okay.
do have the opening
Interesting.
credits at the beginning of the movie, so
Right, they are.
Sam Neill and everything.
Yeah, I didn't know that was something they could, like, the unions would allow for
I
someone
was
to not
thinking
be
the
in.
same thing.
Interesting. I didn't notice that. I didn't even think to look. Interesting.
Yeah, because it does make sense, though, because this is what you're trying to convey. This is the type of movie you're trying to sell. And to add to it, it's a brilliant idea. It adds to, it's like a fourth wall break.
Very neat.
Richard, have you ever read House of Leaves?
No, I haven't.
If you like this, you should read House of Leaves.
That's come up a few times since we've had you around, Phoebe.
I'm rereading it right now.
I will concur. House of Leaves is a hell of a movie.
A hell of a movie? I would kill for that.
Hell of a book, rather. I'm sorry.
You got movie on the brain.
I do, but movie's also important to that book also. So
True.
I'm still not convinced that we were watching the movie. I'm convinced that we were getting the visual representation of the book, which is why Sam Neill, Jackson Harglow, Linda Stiles not listed. We were getting the adaptation of the book. We haven't seen the movie.
Huh. All right.
You know, it would be beautiful if there was a novel adaptation of this movie, but I don't think there has been one.
No.
How would you pull it off? Especially with all the points where, because there's at least 2 scenes in this movie where it will flash around to future events.
Oh, that happens all the time.
It can be done with the right thought process of creating it. I mean, I wrote a novelization of Eternal Darkness, and with a little bit of creative license, I was able to incorporate one of the 2 of the key aspects of this that would make it a very difficult thing to write an adaptation for. I mean, if you play the game and your choices you make at the beginning of the game affect the play out of the game, even though it's pretty much the same, except certain choices changes some of the narratives. So I added a character who basically jumps through these 3 different timelines that are apparently all happening at the same time.
Oh, the red, blue, and green, I'm guessing.
Yeah. And when I came up with, what about the illusions, the fourth wall breaks, the hallucinations that the characters can experience, and something that we would experience. Again, another character who doesn't see these illusions. They can't see the illusionary. They see the reality, which in some cases messes with your mind. I mean, if you walk through the library at certain points when your sanity is not 100%, you see the books floating across, and your mind would think if the character mind sees a book flowing across, 1, it's like the hell, or 2, you want to duck out of their way. and this character just walks through it so that they're not there. But at the same time, they're looking at that portrait, like in Eternal Darkness, it's when your Sanity's way down low, it is creepy as fuck.
Never played more than like a half an hour of that game.
You need to get a copy and play it and take the time.
Yeah, I guess I have to.
I mean,
worth
it is. It is.
You will have to play it 3 times, though.
Don't do that. Just play it once. Don't worry about the true ending. Just play it once. There's YouTube.
Fair.
That's also
She's not wrong, but she's wrong.
Wow.
Wow.
Because when you play it multiple times, 3 times, the second time you play it, you only have 2 choices to pick from. And then the
there's
last
one.
time, there's only 1. And that's when you get the true ending. And it adds to it when you think about some of the things in that game. You look back and certain things make sense and answer questions to you.
And they are different play styles when you pick those 3 options.
Yeah.
All right. Any last things you want to say about this movie before we go to Shelf Stacker Box?
It's definitely putting me in a mood to write again.
That's good.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go.
If you are the writer, you can totally get into Sutter Kane's character and understand what's going on. I was typing up part of a story too before, we got to, as it got closer to time here. And I'm going to say this, the dream effects, the waking up and only to find yourself maybe in another dream, that's a real thing and it can mess with your mind. But there are times when even the writers, and for some people, I would imagine, that your ideas will invade your mind.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely agreeable, because you might be writing something and right near the end, you'll just imagine the character going, that's not how I would do it. And that's very much what John Trent is like throughout the movie, no, I'm not going to do this. This is not my reality.
But there's also other times when you're actually pulled into your own story or maybe even a variation in your own mind while you're asleep.
That is true. All right, let's go to Shelf Stacker Box. And Bill, why don't you lead us in?
This is going to be a very, very easy stack for me. I really enjoy this movie. I think the performances are great. Sam Neill is exceptional. It does a lot with the Lovecraftian cosmic horror that I haven't quite seen in the film before. And it's great. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Not one I think I'm going to return to 100 times, hence not on the shelf, but definitely a closely available stack that I would love to watch again at some point. I had a great time with it. It was great.
I'm glad. I'll go next. I'm going to put this on the shelf. I really, really, really enjoyed this movie. This was a great watch, and I'm thinking to myself, like, man, how did I miss this? Like, how did I never see this in the early 2000s? Or I would have really appreciated it. I'm just happy I finally watched it, thanks to Ken talking about it. So, yeah, thank you, Ken, for introducing me to another movie.
Hooray.
So, yeah, go on the shelf. Great, great film. And Kenneth.
I think I'm going to put this on the shelf. Call me crazy. But yeah, no, it's definitely going to be a shelf for me. It's been in my watch history for a long time. So it'll stay there and continue to hang out where I can watch it all the time.
And Richard.
Definitely shelf. This is definitely the right way for a movie to have done something like Lovecraftian horror. It's delivered it well. It is so much of it will pull you in and keep you there. Even after the movie ends, it will keep you thinking about that. And it's just so beautifully done.
All right. And Phoebe.
This is definitely going on the shelf. This is one of my favorite pieces of John Carpenter media. It is one of my 3 favorite pieces of Lovecraftian horror. This, even with all of its little negative qualities, they work out in the end to make something that is wonderfully disturbing.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I guess we think we should go to plugs. And Bill, where we will find you at?
Yeah, you can. It's not Lovecraftian at all. It's not creepy.
No.
It's not weird. It's all sorts of good-natured and charming, I think, and all sorts of niceness in my side of the internet world. A Gamer Looks at 40 is the podcast I do, where myself and a bunch of other people talk about the games that affected our lives and tell stories about said games. in the middle of a Final Fantasy series that will never end. In the last episode of the Final Fantasy series, it's just going to be me doing the first one again, just like in this one. It's just going to be this self-referential thing. It's going to be time is a circle. But yeah, if you enjoy nostalgic video games and you still enjoy hearing people talk about just the days of yore when it comes to video games, then check out A Gamer Looks at 40 at agamerlooksat4040.com.
All right. And Kenneth.
Find my writings online at kennethsanity.wordpress.com. I write about films. Occasionally, I write about other things. Also, please do keep an eye out for my upcoming podcast, which will be hopefully coming out before year's end.
All right. And Phoebe.
I am the Let's Play Princess. You can find me over on YouTube and Twitch. You can also listen to me and my friend Teacher Bloke 85 over on Nerds of Broadcast.
And Richard.
You can always find me on my YouTube channel with Rich Kale, where I have various game playthroughs and fic readings popping up. And you can find my fics on basically fanfiction.net, Archive of Our Own, and Comic Vine. You definitely hunt down that Eternal Darkness adaptation if you enjoy a good read. I've had a lot of positive feedback. I've had some positive feedback on it. But you can also check out other things I have up there.
All right. And if you enjoyed this episode, there are over 650 other episodes of this podcast. You can find everything we do on Podbean. We do movies, comics, TV shows, games, whatever the hell people want to talk about with me. So you can find our giant list of content there. If you want to support the show, we do a Patreon. For $1, you can vote in our Patreon poll. You will see a link in the show notes to that. We have 1 to 2 polls a month, so you get to affect the show. And we have a Discord. If you want to be on the show or chat with us, you can join our Discord. That's where you can suggest new episodes. I put all the openings I have for episodes, so if you want to be part of the cast, it's a great way. Or if you want to chat with us, we're always having new people just join. Or if you want to lurk, feel free. I'm happy with that too. So please join our Discord. And want to give a shout out to my awesome intro and outro courtesy of Helena at Hell Half Free. You can follow her on TikTok and Instagram. You'll see a link to her link tree in the show notes. Please follow us on Facebook, Blue Sky, Instagram, wherever you get your I don't even know all the names of things. We're on all sorts of stuff. Go find us there. Anywhere you search Game Mom on, you will find us. We are on YouTube, audio only. And I think that's everything I need to say. So we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
So long.
Bye.
I want to see our supervisor.